in those scenes with the guns and glass and all of that, it gets difficult sometimes because you're supposed to look tough in a scene, and then something pops, and then the real Will comes out and I'm like, ah! So I was like, okay, wait, go again, do it again. I'll do the tough version for the next take. But he captures a real authenticity with the filmmaking that is fun to be a part of, and it's really fun to watch.
Where you guys can't do it anymore. Do you push it further? Do you say like, no, I want to do this one?
Well, they can do anything. It's just, can they show up for work the next day?
Yeah.
David broke 4 of my stunt doubles. You know what I mean? 4 of them got broken and sent home.
Yeah, David is very serious about the actors doing as much of the stunt as possible, but he definitely pushes it a little. And the scene with the car, for me, there's the scene when my feet are up on the back of the car and the car is pushing me. So that's real. The car is really pushing me. My feet are really on the car, and the car is really pushing me. So I mean, I just thought it was stupid, but David wanted to do it, so I figured if he wanted to do it, I would do it. But it's actually, what happens is, you're scared for real. As an actor, you're in the scene, so you don't have to act. Like, it's all the terror and everything is in your eyes for real. So the way that he shoots his action scene, he captures an authenticity that I think you just feel it in the sequence.
Yeah, there's not a lot of green screen.
Everything you see up there is real.
I was gonna ask about that because you, Joel, went through a pretty transformation there. How is it to
A little bit of makeup.
Just a little bit.
A little hand, a little blush.
How is it to act underneath the makeup? Is it different at all?
It's surprisingly easy. The team of makeup artists that we had on this movie was so incredible. In fact, Chris, who after the movie went on to win the Oscar for David's other movie, Suicide Squad. So I had those guys looking after me, but I was in the chair for about 3.5 hours, 3 hours every day. It's incredibly articulate. The makeup is very, very special, and I'd walk on set after taking the makeup off, and the crew looked at me like, who's this guy? Like, get him off the set. I don't know who he is. I did that for 60 days. Yeah.
He made me uncomfortable when he showed up without the mask.
The makeup was on, Joel's face. It's pretty much that thick, so it's that much. It's not makeup. It's like it's not rubber, but it's kind of
latex.
Yeah, latex foam, and it's that much, and it's stuck to his face and all over his head. But it was very difficult, but it was amazing how it would move and create emotion, and that he was able to still give you the depth of the emotion with the character.
And how long were you in makeup for, Will?
Yeah, no, every day makeup was tough for me. It would be about 6 or 7 minutes. I'd be in makeup for about 7. One day I was in for about 9 minutes. Yeah. So Joel was probably 3 to 3.5 hours. He would do 3.5 hours of makeup a day. I would still be asleep while he was in makeup. That's for you. He did that for you.
Now I want to ask you guys about the soundtrack of the movie because it's so amazing. Can you talk a little bit about that, David?
Well, I had a great time working with Atlantic on the Suicide Squad soundtrack, and that was probably the biggest soundtrack in 10 years. So I brought them in again. I'm like, maybe we can do this again. And the great thing about it is, the movie has soul. The movie has a message, and we wanted the music to also have a message and have meaning and have a little bit of heart and talk about what's going on today. And I feel like the musicians, the writers, the producers, everybody got inspired by the film itself. and instead of just slapping music onto a movie and hoping it works, everything was very crafted with love for this film.
I know that sometimes you play the music on sets to kind of get the mood. Did you do that? Did you play a lot of music on set, or is it more of a...
This gentleman would add a lot of energy to the set by singing sort of Christmas carols, rap songs, everything. Joel really enjoyed that, especially when he was cranky.
Yeah, no, for me it's important that the set takes on a positive energy. You know, when I'm working and, you know, sometimes these long hours and stuff, I think it's really important to keep the energy up and keep it exciting and keep it going. So we would, you know, music and games and jokes and whatever it would take to make the days go well.
I think we had a 60-something day, 69-day shoot.
Yeah, a little over 3 months or something like that.
Yeah, and it was tough. It was mostly nights, a lot of rain, a lot of working nights. Did I mention the nights?
Yes, nights. It was both, like, as you can see, the film took place mostly at night. So that means we're shooting mostly at night. So we're shooting 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. for months, you know. And it makes you a little bit crazy when you're working at night like that. But I think it captures the texture in the film. You know, the idea was that it was one night. So capturing that feeling and that sense and that urgency, you know, I feel like it'll be a fun part for the audience to you know, feel our real tiredness and our you know, Joel was a little more had a heart.
Well, I had foam on my head, so if I was tired, I just did that. It's like a built-in pillow on my face.
It was very good.
And I wanted to ask you guys, you were talking about chemistry on set, and you guys had to work together pretty much the whole time, well, the three of you, but you two worked together previously before. How do you do that? Did you call Will again, or how did that happen?
Did you call me?
How did that happen?
I don't know. I think David. I don't know if David called me. I think I got the script and I had heard that David was working on it, and you know, I read it and I loved it. Then eventually we talked about it. But David, I have a director's list of no question directors. Like there's directors that if they call, I do what they say. You know, David is on that list, and Ang Lee is on that list, and Michael Mann is on that list, and Christopher Nolan. You know, so when I found out David was doing this, I was in.
But it's great because you know, we have a shorthand, so going into this, you know, we really understood each other. So I'd ask him to do something, and he'd just look at me like I was stupid.
And then do it.
And then he'd do it anyway, which is kind of incredible.
Now, what's really great in working in a business like this is, you know, David and I are friends, right? So we're working together, but it's really about a relationship. You know, it's like when beyond the business, we want to see each other win in life, right? So when we work together, we're not just making a movie together, we're trying to make each other's lives better, you know, so that's a great opportunity to do that. And then even when you deliver something to the fans, you know, we're here for movies and we're here to have a good time and to cheer, but at the end of the day, we're here to make each other's lives better, you know, so it's just a great opportunity to be able to share art together.
I was seeing you guys on stage, and you and Joel are friends. You guys are really friends.
Yeah, we enjoy each other.
Yeah.
We enjoy each other.
Will enjoys me.
He's my favorite.
We would spend all day on set when we weren't rolling. I'd have to keep my eyes open because Will was constantly trying to fight me. Like kicking me.
No, Joel, he doesn't say it, but like Joel is like a martial arts black belt. He's a real fighter. So I always want, I guess you shouldn't say that in Brazil.
That's not an open challenge, by the way.
You don't announce that in Brazil, right? But Joel, you know, he's a real martial artist. So it's fun, you know, to watch just how he moves. And I can box, but I've always loved martial arts, and I've never been a great martial artist, so I would always mess with him. And that's also part of the thing with David. What David does with his actors, at the beginning of movies, David has all of his actors train together. So he creates a family around physical training. So we're all in the gym, we're all sparring together, we're all lifting weights, we're all, you know, building our bodies and learning the stunts and all of that. So the physical element is a huge part of the bonding on a David Ayer film.
Yeah, we you know, David sent Will and I out on these ride-alongs with the LAPD and the Sheriff's Department, and he and I are sitting in the back of, you know, a squad car in some pretty sketchy parts of LA.
Yeah, they do a thing called ride-alongs where you're allowed to sit in the back of a police car and you go on real calls. So Joel and I were in the back of a police car going on real calls, and the police would jump out and pull their guns, and we're sitting in the back of the car like, oh no. And we were in a predominantly black neighborhood in Los Angeles. So the cops pull over and they get out and run, and there's like 20 black dudes, right? And I'm sitting there with Joel, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do my best for you, man, but I know me and them are cool. Hope it works out for you, buddy.
Will seemed to think that all he had to do to get himself out of trouble was get out and do a bit of Fresh Prince.
Hey, listen, I would have been like, now this is the story all about how my life got flipped for that black man. And I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, tell how we hit the prince of a town called Bel Air. In West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground of Groundsman most of my days, chilling out back to relaxing on cooling or shooting some b-ball outside of the school with a couple of guys who were up to no good. Started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got in one little fight and my mom got scared and said, you moving with your auntie and uncle in Bel Air. That's what I was going to do with one of those dudes. I would have done that and they would have killed you.
It would have worked. Now I have to ask you guys how it is to work with this guy over here, because he's so full of energy. How do you contain him, David?
Well, I want to keep a certain mood on the set sometimes. Sometimes we're doing very serious scenes, and I need the actors to be in that sort of darker, somber place. And then Will comes bursting in and saying hi to everybody and singing Christmas carols. And I just give him the death stare, and eventually he kind of backs away.
No, this guy, I mean, you already know it, you love him, and you love him for a reason, and it's because he's always busy, it's because people love working with him. He's a great man on set, and you want to have a really good captain. And the star of a movie is like the captain of a great team, and the behavior filters down, and you want to have someone like this around rather than some jerk. It kills me to pay you a compliment in front of this many people, Will. It kills me.
It's a hard business. It's a difficult business. You guys get to see the fun of it. You get to see the finished product. But, you know, for every minute you see on the screen, you know, we probably shoot 20 minutes of material that you'll never see. And it can be a grind sometimes, but, you know, working with a guy like Will is a pleasure. He makes it fun. You know, you want to surround yourself with great people, and you know, I'll drop anything I'm doing to work with this guy anytime he wants.
My dude, it's my dude right there.
Now you guys were talking about being cop cars, and I have to say I love Men in Black so much. How does it feel to come back to being a cop and alongside and forth?
No, that's what I noticed. I hadn't done the sort of rated R cop drama in a while, and it was, it was fun for me to be back in that buddy cop situation. I watched 48 Hours. Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte was sort of the prototype of what I was thinking in my mind, and it was so great to be, an African American. But I was playing the racist cop who was racist against orcs, right? So to be able to play in that position, it was an interesting way to sort of take a look at racism. Also found what I like about this type of movie is you can say things and you can do things that you normally wouldn't be able to say and do if you were actually talking about the situation. So it was a really special relationship. Joel is fun and funny and wildly talented, and we had chemistry. And that's the thing, you can't buy chemistry and you can't fake chemistry. And you just vibe with somebody or you don't. And in those first days that David was talking about, we found a really great comedic chemistry. So we need all of y'all to call Netflix and let them know you want to see a Bright 2. Let them know you want to see
And you, Joel, what was the experience of playing a cop that was such a different character at the same time?
In the beginning, when I read the script, I thought it was one of the craziest, wildest things I'd ever read, and it was just such an enticing challenge to work with these guys and to play a cop. And in my mind, I thought I was playing an orc, and that I'd have to create some kind of monster performance of inhabiting this character like a monster. And then I realized that the challenge was actually to play an orc in the most conservative human way possible, and the biggest challenge was the great challenge was learning the police work and the authenticity that David asked us to strive for. The real challenge was switching off my sense of humor and to not understand sarcasm or understand when people are making a joke. And that's where the chemistry exists, or the humor between us exists. So the fun part was putting on all the stuff and carrying the guns and training. The tough bit was that. My most fun scenes were when he and I were in the squad car just talking to each other. Sitting in the squad car.
And I have to ask you, David. What was your biggest challenge shooting this movie?
Researching makeup, it took a lot of work to get the makeup correct. We had some false starts. Designing any kind of character like that, you don't realize how many artists are doing illustrations, how many sculptors are doing sculpts. And we did maybe a dozen camera tests to get it right, because we're using, the most advanced cameras. It's a large format, giant lenses. We shot on 70mm lenses. So when you see the makeup on the screen full size, it has to hold up to the scale of image, and it really did. And at the same time, he has to bring his heart and soul to the character, and I don't want the makeup to block him because he's such a good actor.
Of creating this huge world. Did you work with Max Landis on this alongside?
Yeah, Max wrote this amazing script, and he wrote it as an homage to other films I've done, like Training Day and End of Watch. And when I read it, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to do this. I'm not going back to the top room. I'm not doing another LA movie. And I jumped on as a producer. I started meeting with directors, and in these conversations with other directors, I found that I just couldn't let it go. The more I talked about it, the more I connected with it. And so it really evolved into something kind of spectacular. And the city is its own character, and it was fun to add this layer upon it that you guys saw, the orcish, the elvish, how do the elves live, what's an orc neighborhood like, what's what's that world like?
Yeah, and then we were creating language for the elves, for the orcs. They had a graffiti artist who would be graffitiing the set in English, in Orcish, in Elvish, like the layers of thought that David and his team went into to create the world that was not a world where the different cultures had suddenly arrived but had been integrated or trying to integrate for hundreds and hundreds of years. And that, I just remember like thinking about the amount of thought that had to go into that was very well considered.
That was part of the thing that most drew me to the film. The idea when I look at it, people were asking me, well, what is it? How do you describe bright? And it was hard to describe at first, but I said, well, if you think about it, a dark, gritty cop drama like Training Day meets Lord of the Rings, right? So, you know, that's kind of, it's never really been something like that. So, like, that was really exciting and intriguing to me to live in this world. And I really hope that we can continue this. I feel like there's so many aspects of this world that we haven't explored. There's so many characters and so many other things potentially going on in this world. I would love to go back to it.
The racist one for a minute. What do you think that Bright can bring to today's society that really shows people how they're acting?
For me, it's a way of looking at the problems of the world without preaching to people. Look, you know, unfortunately, there's historical issues that we're still dealing with today, especially in the United States. And it can be really hard to talk about. And my hope is it just opens people's eyes up who may have their hearts closed, opens up their hearts, and lets people talk about some of the things that are happening in our world.
What do you guys think about that?
No, that's a really rare opportunity to be able to do that. You don't get screenplays that this sort of bizarre and unique, and you know, to be able to that's sort of what I love about science fiction. I make a lot of science fiction movies, and what's so beautiful about science fiction is the things you're allowed to say when it's an alien, or when it's an orc, or when it's a fairy. The things you're allowed to say, and the ideas. It's almost like there's instruction, there's medicine that you get to take, but it's coated in sugar. You don't even really recognize the level of the medicine that's going down because of the special effects world.
I also think that the film, for me, you know, reading it from the character's perspective, said a lot about, you know, bullying on so many levels. And bullying's a big thing for me as a theme, and I think, you know, being judged for what you do rather than what you look like, or what group you belong to, or the color of your skin, or, you know, that you're judged on your actions as a person rather than any other aspect to your religion or anything else. And that was a big thing for me too. I thought it was a very special moment. And walking down that hallway with the Kick Me sign on it just felt like a lovely big and clear, almost wonderful fairy tale version, as well as talking about the things that we're not allowed to say when we're doing something that's hyper-real. That it's a clear message of the movie in a nice way for all different people to watch and absorb.
And just to wrap it up, I want to ask you guys if you have any funny stories that you could share from set for us.
Any funny stories?
Tell them the B story.
No, it was, you know, that wasn't funny. That was embarrassing. That was embarrassing. No, we went on these ride-along with these cops, and it comes on the radio that the police are about to do an FBI sting, and they said, we could get over there right now and we could meet with all of the FBI agents before they were going to go down and take a drug dealer. And we were like, oh no. So we go over and we come and there's like 10 big, giant, burly FBI guys standing around in a circle. And me and Joel come in and they kind of look at us. They're these hard guys standing there and they're looking and they're saying, okay, the criminal has been known to carry multiple weapons. We have pictures of his girlfriend, we have pictures of his weapons. And I'm like, I cannot believe they're allowing us to stand here and be a part of this. And we're outside and we're there, and one dude has a scar on his neck and they have tattoos on their arms. They all have 3 guns, and we're standing there, and Joel is looking, and all of a sudden, in front of all of these guys, Joel screams, oh shit, shit! And I was like, Joel, and he looks at these guys and they all look at me and say, did you see that bee? It was a bee. Killer wasp. And I was like, no, Joel, none of us saw the bee. No, it was huge. It was huge. And he stood there and they're all just looking at him. And Joel goes, no problem, carry on. Yeah, so that was our first day.
And this is how good a friend Will is. He didn't say a word until we got back in the squad car and he goes, dude, you made us look really uncool.
Yeah, he made us look a mess. It was, that was our first day. So, but you're a great cop as an actor. Thank you. You wouldn't be able to fight any crime in the real streets with just firing your weapon off at bees all the time.
This is a sensitive actor.
Thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you. Obrigado, Brasil! Obrigado!
Take a picture. Todo mundo fica sentado, por favor.
Perdi a voz, galera, muito louco.